Okay, good afternoon once again. Okay, this time we have advanced financial accounting and reporting. Okay, topic job order costing. Okay, this live discussion, okay, is pertaining, okay, dun sa mga kumukuha ng cost accounting subject. Okay, maraming nalilito, okay? Dito sa job order costing, okay? Paano ba yung purchase? Paano ba yung sale? Okay? Paano ba napupunta sa work in process? Okay? Paano ba yung mga journal entries under materials, direct labor, and factory overhead? Okay? So, this live discussion, okay, is aims, okay? The objective, okay? To know how to record, okay? And paano ba pumapasok, okay? Sa different accounts. Okay? So, by means of that, let's define first what is job order costing. Okay? Definition, okay, of job order costing. Job order costing procedure keeps the costs of various jobs or contracts separate during their manufacture or construction. Okay? Yan po ang simplest definition, okay, of job order costing. Okay? Now, okay, let's proceed to the example of job order cost sheet. Ano bang itsura ng job order cost sheet? Okay? Ito po ang example ng job order cost sheet. Okay? Job cost sheet. Okay? Job number. Okay? And then items. And then materials, labor, manufacturing overhead. Okay? Materials, labor, manufacturing overhead is, okay, is charge, okay, to work in process. Okay? Ang pumapasok po sa account na work in process is yung direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing, or mas kilala sa tawag na factory overhead. Okay? So, let's move on to major source. Okay? Major source documents. Okay? First, okay, we have to know that major source documents have 5. Okay? We have 5 source document, okay, of job order costing. First is job order cost sheet. Okay? What we have shown, okay, what anong klase or anong itsura ng job order cost sheet. Okay? Ang job order cost sheet, okay, kaya siya is isa sa major source ng source document ng job order costing, okay, is because these records accumulate product costs of specific units or small batches of units for both product costing and control purposes. Okay? And then, the file of job order cost sheets for uncompleted jobs has a perpetual book inventory and the subsidiary ledger for work in process account. Okay? And then, last, a separate cost sheet, okay, is prepared for each job. Okay? Yun po ang job order cost sheet. Okay? Kung bakit po siya naging major source document. Okay? The second major source document is materials stock card. Okay? Take note, okay? We already heard, okay, stock card in our inventory and merchandising discussion. Okay? Stock card. Okay? Ano ba yung materials? Okay? Meron iba't ibang klaseng stock card. Okay? This time we talk about materials stock card. Okay? Stock card, materials stock card. These records are the perpetual book inventory of costs and quantities of materials on hand. Okay? And then, the file of materials stock cards for unused materials is the subsidiary ledger for materials account. Okay? And then, a separate stock card, okay, is prepared for each type of material on hand. Okay? Yun po ang materials is stock card. Okay? Next, the third one, major source documents, finished, okay, goods stock card. Okay? Yung mga natapos na. Okay? This is stock card. Okay? Okay? These records are the perpetual book inventory, okay, of costs and quantities of completed goods held for sale. Okay? And then, the file of finished goods stock cards, okay, for unsold goods is the subsidiary ledger of finished goods account. Okay? Later on, okay, pagdating natin sa different accounts, okay, we have the summary on how to, okay, how to record, okay, how to record in a debit side and in a credit side. Okay? The fourth one of major source documents is the factory overhead cost record. Okay? Or indirect cost record. Okay? Factory overhead cost record. Okay? These records accumulate detailed manufacturing overhead costs by department. Okay? The file of these records for the accounting period is the subsidiary ledger for factory overhead account. Okay? And then the last one is the materials requisition, time ticket, okay, and clock card. Okay? That major source document, okay, has a source documents for charging costs to jobs, okay, and department. Again, has the source documents for charging costs to jobs and department, okay, and to aid, okay, in fixing responsibility for, okay, control and usage of materials and labor. Okay? Yan po, okay, ang 5 source documents of job order costing. Okay? Next, okay? Accounting for materials. Okay? Accounting for materials, okay? In manufacturing enterprises, the common practice is to record all materials and supplies in one control account, okay? Materials or stores, okay? Sometimes, okay, ang manufacturing company, they record materials like this. Debit materials, credit AP, okay? Procedures, okay, that affect the materials account involve the purchase of materials and supplies, issuance of materials and supplies, okay? Under issuance of materials and supplies, we have 2 classification, okay? The direct, which is the amount that enter into work in process account, and then indirect materials and supplies, okay? These are the indirect cost or factory overhead, okay, of materials. So, journal entries, okay? Journal entries to record purchase materials, debit materials, credit, accounts payable. Or sometimes, if you encounter debit stock, okay, or stores, sometimes they call us stores or stock, Okay? Next, journal entries. Okay? By the way, to record purchase materials, again, debit materials, credit accounts payable. Okay? An entry is made on the stock card under the received section. Okay? Then, if you return, okay, the materials to vendor, to record, okay, debit, accounts payable, and then credit materials. Okay? As simple as that, okay, in inventory and merchandising discussion. Okay? This entry, okay, made on stock card under receive section and close, okay, in parenthesis to indicate reduction in quantity. Okay? Binabawasan mo yung materials mo. Okay? Kasi binalik mo kay vendor. Okay? So, to record issuance of materials, okay. To record issuance of materials, ito yung papasok, okay? Ito yung debit side ni work in process. Okay? To record issuance of materials, debit work in process. Okay? And then, credit materials, okay? Direct. Include direct. Kasi, ang pumapasok kay work in process is yung direct. Okay? And then, yung indirect materials is isasama mo siya sa total cost ng factory overhead. Okay? So, next, recording of indirect materials. Okay, debit factory overhead. As I mentioned, credit materials, indirect. Okay? So, next, let's summarize. Okay? Summary of materials. Okay? As you can see in the debit, in the credit side, okay? Yan po ang dapat na naka-record. Okay? So, first, debit. Okay? Inventory beginning. Okay? Debit inventory beginning. Okay? Then, another debit is purchase of materials. Okay? By the way, materials have a normal balance of debit. Okay? So, next, freight in. Okay? Using direct charging. Using direct charging, meaning yung pumapasok sa work in process. Okay? Cost of excess materials. Okay? And then, the deduction in materials, or the credit side, is the cost of direct materials. Cost of indirect materials, or included in factory overhead. Okay? Cost of materials returned to suppliers. Okay? So, I hope malinaw sa inyo yung accounting for materials. Okay? Under the discussion, job order costing. Okay? Now, let's proceed to payroll or labor. Okay? Accounting for labor. Okay? Accounting for labor. The accounting procedures for labor may be, okay, divided into two distinct phases. Okay? First, collection of payroll data, computation of earnings, calculation of payroll taxes, and payment of wages. And the second phase, distribution and allocation of labor costs to jobs, departments, and other costs classifications. Okay? Yun po ang two distinct phases of accounting procedure for labor. Under discussion, job order costing. Okay? Now, to record, okay, journal entries under this labor, okay, to record payroll and incurrence, okay, of liability, okay, you debit payroll, okay, a whole amount of payroll, and then credit all payables, okay, credit all payables, okay, for example, withholding tax, okay, SSS premium, PhilHealth contribution, and, okay, others, okay, yung mga dinideduct, okay, sa'yo as benefits for your labor, okay, and then credit also accrued payroll, okay, debit payroll, okay, the amount that you will record is the total amount, but in the credit accrued payroll, okay, difference, okay, difference kung magkano, okay, yung payables mo, okay. So next, to journalize distribution of payroll, okay, work in process, okay, debit work in process, and then debit factory overhead, okay, and then credit payroll, okay. Again, debit work in process, ang pumapasok po sa work in process is yung direct labor, okay. Kaya po tayo may debit na factory overhead kasi meron po tayong tinatawag na indirect labor, okay, and then credit payroll, okay. So yun po ang pag-record or pag-journalize ng distribution, okay, ng payroll. Now, how to record payment of payroll, okay. To record payment of payroll, okay, debit, okay, accrued payroll, and then credit cash, okay. By this, you will notify that you paid, okay, the liability, okay, salaries payable, okay, or accrued salaries and wages payable, okay. So let's summarize, okay, payroll, okay. What do we need to see, okay, in debit and credit balance, okay. Okay, payroll, okay. What do we need to see in debit side is the total wages and salaries earned, okay, and then total payroll total payroll, okay, or yung binayaran mong payroll, okay. And then sa accrued payroll, okay, the debit side, okay, dapat ang makita dyan is yung total amount of wages paid, okay, and then the credit side will be the beginning balance of the accrued payroll, and then total amount of salary, amount of wages and salaries due, okay. Yan po ang accounting procedure for labor, okay. Under discussion, job order costing, okay. So next, the third, in the total manufacturing cost is the accounting for factory overhead, or sometimes it calls indirect costs, or manufacturing overhead, okay. Okay, this account, okay, have two accounts used, okay. Factory overhead as in general, and then factory overhead applied, okay. Kasi po, ang nire-record po natin sa work in process, okay, yung dinidebit natin sa work in process is applied, okay. But in the or after work in process, kinakalculate natin, okay, yung variance, okay? So, later on, malalaman natin, okay, how to compute variance, okay? So, factory overhead, okay, is used to accumulate actual overhead incurred, while factory overhead applied, okay, is used to accumulate estimated factory overhead applied to production. Okay? And then, accounting for factory overhead have basis. Okay? We have different basis or 5 basis for procedure under factory overhead. The first is the units of production. Okay? Second, okay, direct material costs. Okay? The third, direct labor costs. Okay? And then direct labor hours. And then machine hours. Take note, okay? Indirect, okay? Take note, indirect material costs. Ang tinutukoy dyan is yung indirect material. Okay? And then, as you can see, tatlo yung basis sa direct labor. Yung cost, hours, and machine hours. Okay? Kaya po yan ka basis, okay, to have an estimate or predetermined, okay, rate of factory overhead. Okay? By computing predetermined factory overhead rate, okay, may be used for all departments, okay, in the company, okay, or a rate may be computed for each department to fit the nature of the operations of the department, okay? So, factory overhead, okay, is a complicated account, okay? Kasi madaming proseso. Okay? So, let's have the journal entries. How to record. Okay? Factory overhead. How do we charge factory overhead? Okay? First, you need to debit work in process. Okay? And then credit applied. Okay? Factory overhead. Okay? Now, let's have the summarize. Okay? Let's have the summary. Okay? Of the factory overhead. To summarize factory overhead, what we need to see in debit and credit side. Okay? Factory overhead, debit side. Okay? Indirect costs. Okay? Materials, labor, and expense. Okay? Not totally. Okay? Expense, indirect cost or indirect expense, okay, is the selling and admin. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, selling and admin, period cost. Okay? Meaning ng period cost, hindi siya kasama sa production. Okay? So, hindi mo siya isasama. Okay? Sa production cost. Okay? And other indirect cost expense use. Okay? And then sa credit side naman ng factory overhead, okay, yung total debit footing at the end of the accounting period when closing the books. Okay? So, next, factory overhead applied. Okay? Total credit footings. Okay? And then cost of overhead allocated. Okay? And then at the end of the year, okay? Over or under applied factory overhead. Okay? Over and under applied factory overhead was close, okay, to cost of goods sold. Okay? So, kapag ka nasa debit side, okay, difference applied. Okay, difference nung in-apply mo. Meaning yung variance, okay? And then sa credit side, okay, difference actual, okay, variance pa din 'yan. Meaning pagka applied, okay? Pag malaki yung applied, okay, kaysa sa actual, okay, i-debit mo, okay, yung word, yung over under applied factory overhead account, okay, and then pagka actual naman yung malaki, okay, naka-credit, okay, yung applied factory overhead, okay, and then indicate that is over, okay, under applied, okay. So next, journal entries of factory overhead for the end of the month, okay. How do we record, okay, for the end of the month, okay. Okay, debit factory overhead applied, and then debit also under over applied overhead, and then credit factory overhead, okay. Now, okay, end of the month, what if how about for the end of the year, okay, how to journalize, okay, journal entry for the end of the year, debit cost of goods sold, credit under over applied overhead, okay. Yan po yung sinasabi kong i-close mo, okay, yung under or over applied overhead sa cost of goods sold, okay. And then that is the initial entry, okay, for closing, okay, for closing over under applied, okay. And then this is the total entry, okay, that we need. Debit factory overhead applied, debit cost of goods sold, and then credit factory overhead, okay. Now this is the complicated part, the variance, okay. To compute variance, okay, to compute variance, we simply less the applied factory overhead to actual, okay. So this is the computation of variance, okay, actual less applied, okay. If actual is bigger than applied, the variance is called under applied factory overhead or unfavorable, okay. And this is taken as an addition to the cost of goods sold in the statement, okay. If applied is bigger than actual, the variance is called over, okay, applied factory overhead or favorable, okay. And this is taken as reduction or deduction from the cost of goods sold in the statement, okay. Yun po ang variance, okay. So let's proceed now to work in process account, okay. Work in process account, what do we need to see in the work in process? Debit and credit side, okay. Summary is this, okay. Yan po dapat ang naka-record sa debit and credit side ng work in process, okay. Cost of beginning inventory, cost of direct materials issued to production, cost of direct labor applied, okay, and then amount of overhead applied. That is what we need to see in the debit side of the work in process. Okay, and then the credit side, what do we need to see? Work in process account, costs of materials, labor, and overhead applied. Okay, and then cost of direct materials returned. Okay? Yan po ang dapat na naka-record under work in process account. Okay? How to journalize work in process. Okay? To record journal entry, okay, of cost of the jobs completed. Okay? Debit finished goods and then credit work in process. Okay? Yung mga natapos na, okay, na product, okay, is didedebit as finished goods. And then other account na yan, si finished goods, okay? Then credit work in process, meaning binabawasan mo na yung trabaho or production kasi may mga natapos ka na. Okay? And then, when finished goods are delivered to customers, the sales and the cost of goods sold are recorded. Okay, as follows. So, ito. Sales. Okay, sales. Transaction. Okay, debit accounts receivable. And then credit sales. And then to record, okay, cost of goods sold, debit cost of goods sold, credit finished goods. Okay? And then, if a job is delivered directly, okay, to a customer, the entries to record the completion of the job and the delivery to the customer may be merged into one. Okay? As follows. So, debit cost of goods sold and then credit work in process. Okay? Meaning, kinompress. Okay? Kinompress. Or, kinompress yung entries. Okay? Kasi, direkta mo siyang i-deliver. Okay? Ikaw mismo nag-deliver, okay, kay buyer or kay customer. Okay? Pag ikaw yung mismong nag-deliver, ito yung journal entry mo. Debit cost of goods sold, credit work in process. Okay? Now, let's have finished goods account. Okay? Finished goods account. Finished goods account, a controlling account used, okay, to record the flow of the cost of goods completed and transferred to the finished goods storeroom during the period. Okay? Now, finished goods. Finished goods, sa Tagalog, tapos na product. Okay? Tapos na produkto. Nagawa na. Okay? Ready? Ready for sale na siya. Okay? Ngayon, what do we need to see in the account? Finished goods. Okay? Under the manufacturing company. Okay? Job order costing. Summary, okay, of finished goods is this. Okay? Finished goods account. Okay? Ang tanging makikita lang natin, okay, na credit sa credit side ng finished goods is yung inilabas mo or yung ibinenta mo. Okay? Pero sa debit side, meron tayong tatlong dapat makitang naka-record. Yung cost of inventory beginning, factory cost of job order completed, and cost of goods returned. Okay? Yan po ang finished goods. Okay? Account. Now, let's proceed, okay, to our last topic, okay, for this job order costing discussion. The cost of goods sold. Diyan naman po talaga nagtatapos ang lahat. Simula sa una hanggang sa katapusan, ang simula po is yung pagre-record mo ng mga ipapasok sa work in process. And then, ilalabas mo sa work in process, dadali mo sa finished goods, and then, yung naka-debit sa finished goods, okay, is i-credit mo, and then yung naka-credit mo sa finished goods, yun na yung papasok dito sa cost of goods sold. Okay? Yun po ang flow. Okay? Yun po ang flow ng job order. Okay? So, summary, okay, ng cost of goods sold is this. Okay? Cost of goods sold, T account. Okay? What do we need to see in the debit again, in the credit side? Sa debit side, dalawa po dapat ang dapat na makita na naka-record. Cost of finished goods disposed or binenta. Okay? Or in-issue. And then yung pangalawa, adjustments for over-applied overhead. Okay? And then sa credit side ng cost of goods sold, what do we need to see na naka-record? Cost of finished goods returned. Okay? Adjustment of over-applied overhead. And then balance of the account. Okay? Now, dito na po natatapos ang job order costing discussion. Okay? I hope you acquired from the discussion how to account materials, labor, the factory overhead, how you transfer that three manufacturing cost to work in process, and then how you transfer the finished work in process or cost of goods manufactured to finished goods, and then how you sell, okay, or transfer into cost of goods sold. Okay, that's how you, okay, account for your job order costing. Okay, thank you for listening. God bless.